What's up, quadcopter fans? AnglerDrone.com. Today I'm going to be doing a short little video on a review on some of the blades that I just purchased here. I purchased these. These are Fox Novo. It's a 4-piece propeller set. 2 counterclockwise, clockwise props, as well as prop guards that come with it. Universal for 3 different types of quadcopters: the DJI Phantom, WLToys V303, which I have, and the Cheerston CX20. Now, I did have issues with this prop. So, if you notice here, this is extremely thin. And once you get out towards the tips on these blades, it's nylon plastic or just plastic, and you'll notice that this thing is just paper thin, and you can just bend it with your finger. So lift is probably going to be an issue, and that's what I experienced too as well. I have a video playing in the background of my one and only test flight with these props on here, and the V303 crashing. And I'll get into that here in a second and explain some more details into that. But this is the stock V303 prop. You'll notice the difference between the two as far as thickness goes, as well as size. You're missing quite a bit of area there, and I'm no expert, but I am assuming that's essential for lift. Having that bigger paddle on there, especially with more weight if you're adding a gimbal and a GoPro on there, and prop guards. Now, I did have prop guards on during that test flight, and it was wind was mild to a little bit strong, and it was really jostling the quadcopter around. So the prop guards, definitely take those off. They add no value to it, other than when I did wreck, they did protect the props, as well as they did protect the motor shaft on the motor from being bent. So that was a positive, but other than that, it made the quadcopter fly bad. It made it overcompensate quite a bit. Reason why I wrecked and why I think it came down so hard is that I was just coming in for a landing. Now, granted, I was about 9 minutes into the flight, so most people were reporting with the gimbal GoPro on there, they're getting 7 to 12 minutes of flight time with that setup on there. So with these blades, once it got to that point, it might not have had enough power, and then also missing this amount of prop in order to get the right amount of lift that could have contributed to it falling out of the sky. Now, before I even got to the low battery point, I did notice issues. Is that when I was trying to rotate on the yaw axis from left or right, using the rudder, it would over rotate when it was spinning to the left hand side, and it was very snappy on the left hand side. When I would try to rotate on the right hand side, it was very delayed and very labored. So one of my theories is that either the battery would have been running down, but the V303 Seeker up to this point has been very good about telling me it flashes red whenever the battery's low. It gives me the proper amount of time. Granted, that isn't with a heavier load such as the gimbal and the camera on there. Now, I have experienced this dropping from the sky with the Tarantula. That's a small little battery on there, and with the GoPro on there, or an SJ4000, it will drop like that whenever the battery starts running low and it loses power. But given the fact that it was over rotating earlier, prior to just about 5 minutes into the flight, I would assume that this auto lock or self-tightening on these props played a big factor into that. I think that at some point in time they might have been coming a little bit loose, because these aren't these are universal for 3 different quadcopters, and so it might have come a little bit loose, causing it not to spin, causing it not to be able to give lift, and causing it to crash, causing it to over rotate on the y-axis. I'm no expert, but that's just kind of my thought process behind it, of what it could have been going on, and possibly the reasoning behind it. Overall, I would say purchase these for $12 any day of the week over these, which was $18, plus you get the prop guards with it, which you can basically just throw those in the trash, because not even worth putting on to the quadcopter. But hopefully you can learn from this. I would strongly recommend staying away from them, but you know, if you want to risk it, it's completely up to you. I'll leave a link in the description to where I purchased these off Amazon, so that way you can, you know, investigate for yourself or know, you know, what brand not to buy. You might be able to find some of these that are real, that are carbon fiber, or you know, a real DJI brand that does fit the V303. Those might be better, and those might actually work as compared to these knockoffs, you know, that are so flimsy, and could potentially, you know, mess your quadcopter up. Luckily, I got away. You know, my quadcopter was injury free. The gimbal's still working, camera's still working, even though it did take a pretty good hit. So I got lucky in that regard, but you know, just wanted to put this video out for a warning for anyone that's thinking about purchasing these or changing the props on their V303 Seeker. You know, ideally, you know, a prop like this that is possibly carbon fiber, a little bit thicker, might be better, but this one, you know, does the job. I'm not complaining about this. I did an isolated test with just this propeller by itself after the wreck. You know, after removing these as well as the prop guards, handled fine. Y-axis rotations, perfect, no issues. So, you know, the conclusion is definitely there was something with these propellers. Prop guards, could have been a combination of the two. Might have had something to do with the battery. Even though the light was solid green, it just might have been too big of a load with just not enough lift power. So, you know, my end conclusion is just don't mess with the props. Get something that's wider, sturdier, has a lot of lift, especially if you're going to be carrying a bigger payload with the gimbal and camera. So if this video helped you out in any way, definitely leave it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos in the future, and stay tuned for more unboxings and flight reviews.